I never imagined to become an energy healer. I grew up in a poor family in a poor country, and my social conditioning is to go to school, get good grades, finish with flying colors, get a job in a big company, get a good salary, and have financial security. I followed those things. I even managed to have an MBA, send myself to one of the top business schools in France and get my MBA degree. But before all that, in my late 20s, I was sent for an expat assignment in the US. And in one of those intense discussion in a big conference room, I had an epiphany. I actually had an out of body experience. I didn't even know it was an out of body experience, but it felt like a dream. It felt like I was just watching, but I was there and they were all busy and the moment stopped. And I heard a voice which said, your purpose in life is to touch other people's lives and to inspire other people. And I didn't even know what does that mean. I was just chasing careers, chasing financial security, chasing the definition of success that what is taught to me. And then fast forward, the pandemic happened. I underwent downward spiral. And I started to get into this victim mentality, blaming so many things why my life is like this. There's something deep inside me. I was unhappy, but I don't know what it is. But at the same time, I also have a calling to do an ayahuasca. And then I reached the bottom line, the rock bottom. And then one day I woke up, I told myself, I cannot live this life anymore. And so I took an online course about life visioning. And that's when I realized that I was actually living in a victim mindset and that everything is within my hands and whatever is happening to me is a construction, is a result of my thoughts, my emotions, everything. And so I decided to give up my apartment in Paris. I gave away almost all my clothes. I gave away all my bags. I gave away half of my shoes. Okay, I'm still a woman. I love shoes. But what I'm trying to say is I decided to live a minimalist lifestyle. And then after finishing that online course, I traveled and I went to surfing spot because I want to learn surfing. And I have to admit, in those 2 years that I traveled are the best moments of my life. Those are actually the moments where I felt I truly lived. Now, how did I become an energy healer? I always had a calling to do an ayahuasca. And I was supposed to go to Costa Rica, and that was in 2021. And that was the time we're in. The regulations were changing every week. And then I decided to buy my plane ticket to Costa Rica 4 days before my flight. And I missed one thing in my research because my flight actually has a connecting flight to the US. And then I didn't realize that they impose that anybody who's entering the US or even connecting flight to the US, you need to have invitation or you need to be part of the exception list. And I missed that. And so I was there in Paris Orly Airport waiting for the connecting flight. I got denied boarding. And that time I don't have any apartment anymore. I was just living in a luggage, hopping from one surfing spot to another surfing spot. And so I realized I have so many friends in Paris, picked up the phone, called somebody who lives close to the airport and asked her if I can crash for the night. And she said, yes, you can come. And so I went to their house, slept for the night. The next day, I tried to find the cheapest flight outbound Paris that's close to a beach, because as I've said, I want to surf. And I found Lisbon as the cheapest flight outbound from Paris. And so I booked the flight and researched where can I actually stay close to the ocean. And then I found a place called Costa de Caparica. I was supposed to go to Costa Rica to have an ayahuasca, and I ended up in Costa de Caparica, Portugal. And 45 minutes away, Costa de Caparica, there's a retreat house for ayahuasca. So anyway, I did the ayahuasca, and in my first ayahuasca, it was like a Disneyland movie. It showed me what I'm capable to do. It showed me the karma that I needed to pay. And it was like magic. I even saw a 3D yeah, an animated version of me and my soulmate dancing in a garden. And then I told ayahuasca, can I see more? And it told me, no, you've seen enough for today. You have to come back after 8 months. And so I did. I did my second ayahuasca after 8 months. And that was the beginning of the story. In that ayahuasca, I had a massive ego death. It I experienced the sensation of dying. It felt so real. I couldn't breathe. And I reached a point wherein I ran out of breath and I really died. And then I just woke up again with one big inhale. And then I was alive again. And that happened 10 times. It was so painful. And after 4 or 5 ego deaths, I told ayahuasca, okay, I surrender. If this is what I needed to undergo in order for me to transform, do it. I surrender. And the moment I surrender to that ego death, that was the moment wherein the ego death became gentle. I underwent 10 times and I told ayahuasca, if I need to die more than that, just do it. And the moment I surrendered, it's so amazing. It just stopped. And so I had that massive ego that I know to work in corporate. I didn't realize this, but to work in corporate, you need ego because it's just a means to survive. If you don't have ego, they will just eat you alive. And I work in big companies, competitive environment. You just have to. And when I left corporate, I know as well that I have ego, but I didn't realize it was that big that it was consuming me. And so after my second ayahuasca, I don't want to do it anymore. I was scared. It was so painful. But at the same time, it was beautiful. It showed all my inner garbage, my inner garbage that's holding me to actually live the life that's beyond my imagination. And I don't want to do it again. And in one of my meditations, I actually have this insight to do an ayahuasca again. And then I asked the retreat house if they have something scheduled for the week. And they told me they have something scheduled for the week and the theme is transformation. And so I signed up. By the way, you cannot do ayahuasca without preparation. There's a diet. You can check online, but my diet is always ready for ayahuasca. So anyway, so I did the third ayahuasca. And after that ceremony, I just started to see chakra colors of people who joined the ayahuasca ceremony. I was I was seeing which one is black, which one is lit, what trip they have undergone during the ayahuasca. And they were speaking in a different language. And I don't speak that language, but I was understanding everything that they were saying. And for a month after that ayahuasca, I was hearing thoughts of people. If I see people, I have this insight. of what's going on with their lives. I thought I was going crazy. And then one thing led to another. I told the story to my friend, and she said, "Can you see my chakra colors?" And I told her, "Let's do this properly." And so I tried to check her chakra colors and told her this and that. And then she asked me, "So, how do I activate it?" And with so much confidence, I said, "I can do it for you." But mind you, I did an energy healing online course long time ago. It's not really to heal people, but it's for me to heal. Because I've been working so hard, traveling a lot. I was working as a bid manager for large and strategic deals. And on the side, I was working on a startup. As you can see, I was so ambitious. And I did energy healing because I was just so exhausted every day. I wanted to do something that would just pump up my energy. And so when my friend asked me how to activate the chakra after my chakra reading, I said I can do it, but I actually did the energy healing that I learned long time ago. And it worked. And then she sent me people to test whether it's real what I activated inside me. And then that's when it all started. I started my energy healing. I started to see the aura of people. I start to see images of their lives. I started to see what are the emotional wounds. I see images and I hear messages of what the person is undergoing through. And I started to embrace it because finally I started to understand that in order for us to really live the life that we desire, we need to heal our emotional wounds, clear those negative energy blocks that's caused by trauma, fear based experiences, and so on. And yeah, so that's how I became an energy healer. But before actually in my ayahuasca, I did meditation with people. And the first time I did deep meditation using the energy healing technique that I learned in that online course, I started to see a dominant aura or aura color of my friend. And it happened 3 times. And I didn't know how I did it. And my gift of seeing colors, seeing images, energy healing actually showed up and got fully activated after that massive ego death during my ayahuasca. So that's the story how I became an energy healer. And friend actually told me it was always there, which is true. When I was young, I would play cards and I would pretend I know how to do future reading, psychic reading, and I'm just saying random things. And I don't know, I was just saying things. It's like an inner knowing knowledge. And what I was saying was actually true, and they were confirming me. And then full circle, here I am. I became an energy healer, and that's the story.